I shouldn't have stepped in. That's the truth. Not because I couldn't handle it, not because I was afraid, but because the second I saw her eyes meet mine, something shifted, and I knew walking away would never be an option again. You ever feel that? That moment when doing the right thing cost more than you expected? The ballroom was loud. Crystal lights, expensive perfume, men laughing too hard at their own jokes. I didn't belong there. My 10-year-old daughter, Chloe, held my hand like I was her anchor. Then I saw them close in around her. Arya Lauren, CEO, powerful, calm, the kind of woman who owns a room without raising her voice. Except she wasn't calm. 4 men circled her. One leaned too close, said something that made the people near them laugh. I saw her jaw tighten, saw her shoulders square. She could handle herself. I knew that, but she shouldn't have to. Chloe felt my hand tense. "Daddy?" she whispered. I told her to stay put, and I walked. Every step felt measured, controlled, the old training sliding back into place. Like muscle memory I never asked for. Hands off the lady. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. One of them grabbed me. 10 seconds later, they were on the floor. The room went silent, and that's when it happened. Her eyes locked on mine. Not gratitude, not fear. Recognition. Like she'd seen me before. Like she was trying to reach into a memory that didn't quite form. Security rushed in. Chloe ran to me. I felt her small arms wrap around my waist, grounding me. But Arya didn't look away. She stepped closer. "Do I know you?" she asked softly. 3 words. Simple. But they hit harder than any punch thrown that night. Because 8 years ago, in a different country, under gunfire and smoke, I had heard that same voice. And she was never supposed to remember me. I should have lied better. That's what I kept thinking when she followed me into the hallway. Security had cleared the ballroom. Chloe was holding my hand again, but Arya wasn't letting this go. "Do I know you?" she asked again, quieter this time. I could have said no. I almost did. But there's something about the way she looks at you, like she's not just hearing your words, she's weighing them. "My name's Jack Mercer," I said evenly. "I build furniture." Her lips curved slightly, not amused, not convinced. "That's not what I meant." Chloe squeezed my fingers. She felt the tension. Kids always do. "I think you're mistaken," I told Arya, calm, controlled. She stepped closer, not intimidated, not grateful, just searching. "In the Caribbean," she said softly. "Warehouse. Trade summit. Someone pulled me behind a concrete barrier before the shooting started." My chest tightened. I hadn't heard that story out loud in 8 years. "You're confusing me with someone else," I said. But my voice didn't sound like mine. She noticed. Her eyes dropped to my wrist. The tattoo. I cursed myself for not rolling my sleeve down faster. A small black sailing ship. Seal insignia woven into the mast. Nothing obvious. But if you knew, you knew. Her breath caught. "I saw that," she whispered. "When you were bleeding." Chloe looked between us. "Daddy?" I knelt down fast. "Hey, it's okay, baby." Grown-up stuff. But inside, it wasn't okay. Because I could see it now. The memory had landed, and memories are dangerous. "You were declared dead," Arya said. Not accusing, just shaken. "They told us the SEAL who intervened didn't make it." "I'm not that man," I said. A pause. "You move like him." That one hit deeper than it should have. Attraction flickered there. Not romantic, not yet, but something charged, awareness. And that's what scared me. Because the more she looked at me, the more I saw it. She wasn't just remembering. She was starting to trust me. And I hadn't decided if stepping back into her world would protect my daughter or destroy the quiet life we built. I should have walked away right then. Chloe was tugging at my hand. The hallway lights were too bright, too exposed, and Arya was standing there like she'd just found a ghost. "You saved me," she said.
Not dramatic, not loud.
Just certain. I felt something twist in my chest. "Ma'am," I said carefully, "you don't owe me anything." Tonight was just basic decency. Her eyes softened at that. Not CEO eyes. Not public figure eyes. Just a woman who almost got humiliated in front of a room full of men. "Basic decency is rare in that room," she replied. That wasn't flirtation. It was truth. Chloe looked up at Arya and held out her small shell starfish. "For protection," she said shyly. "Mom used to say they grow back if they break." Arya knelt down to her level, and that's when everything shifted. She didn't hesitate, didn't fake politeness. She took the starfish like it mattered. "Thank you," she whispered. Her voice cracked just slightly. I saw it. Loneliness. Not the kind that comes from being alone. The kind that comes from being surrounded by people who don't see you. And suddenly the space between us felt different. Not battlefield tension, not suspicion. Something warmer. That scared me more than the fight did. Mr. Mercer, she said, standing slowly, I'd like to thank you properly. Dinner, not a gala. Somewhere normal. Normal. I almost laughed. You don't want complicated, I said quietly. She met my gaze without blinking. I don't want fake. That one landed, because fake was exactly what that ballroom was. Chloe leaned against my leg. Daddy, she seems nice. I exhaled slowly. Here's the thing about being a father. You don't just protect your child from danger, you protect them from hope. Because hope can disappear. And I'd already buried one person I loved. I looked back at Arya, strong, brilliant, targeted, and now possibly connected to me again. You don't remember everything from that night, I said softly. Her expression changed. What am I missing? She asked. I hesitated, because the truth wasn't romantic. It was dangerous. And if she remembered the rest, they would remember too. I shouldn't have told her. But when she looked at me like that, steady, unafraid, I knew hiding the truth would only make it worse. You weren't the target, I said quietly. We were standing outside now. The night air was cooler. Chloe was a few steps away, tracing lines on the pavement with her shoe, pretending not to listen. Arya's brows pulled together. What do you mean? That warehouse? I continued. It wasn't random. It wasn't chaos. It was a message. Her breath slowed. To me? She asked. I shook my head. To someone watching you. She went still. That's when doubt crept into her eyes. Not about me. About everything she thought she knew. I was there on a separate op, I said. Arms trafficking. Your delegation stumbled into it. When the shooting started, I made a choice. Her voice dropped. You stepped in. I stepped between you and 6 rifles. She swallowed hard. I remembered the way she looked that night. Terrified but stubborn, refusing to run even when bullets hit the concrete around us. You were bleeding, she whispered. You told me to get down. I nodded once. Silence stretched between us. Not awkward, heavy. Why didn't you ever contact me? She asked. There it was. The personal question. Because to her it wasn't just about survival. It was about abandonment. Because my job wasn't to be remembered, I said. It was to disappear. Her lips parted slightly. Attraction flickered there now. Not loud, not reckless, but real. You disappeared well, she murmured. I had a daughter waiting for me. That shifted her expression immediately. Respect replaced curiosity. And now? She asked. That question carried more weight than she realized. Now I was standing too close to a woman whose life attracts enemies. Now my daughter was within reach of powerful people who play dirty. Now my pulse was reacting every time Arya's voice softened. I don't do that life anymore, I said firmly. She stepped closer anyway. I didn't ask for a soldier, she replied quietly. The wind lifted a strand of her hair across her cheek. She didn't brush it away. I asked for dinner. And for the first time since the fight, I didn't know which outcome scared me more. I made a mistake. I said yes. Not immediately. Not like some reckless teenager. But Chloe looked up at me with those hopeful eyes. And Arya stood there waiting. Not demanding, not flirting, just open. Dinner, I said finally. Public place, early. Arya's lips curved. Not triumphant, relieved. I'll take it. That should have been the end of it. It wasn't. 2 nights later, we sat at a small waterfront restaurant in Charleston. No cameras. No executives. Just wooden tables and string lights. Chloe was between us, happily explaining the difference between spiral shells and scallop. Shells like it was a TED Talk. Arya listened like it mattered. That did something to me. She wasn't performing. She wasn't checking her phone. She was fully present. You're good with her, I said quietly when Chloe ran inside to wash her hands. Arya smiled softly. I like people who don't pretend. The words lingered. The air shifted. For the first time, it wasn't about the past. It was about now. You ever miss it? She asked gently. The seal life? There it was again. She says it softly, carefully, like she doesn't want to push me away. I miss the clarity, I admitted. You know who the enemy is. You know the mission. And now? Now the enemy wears suits. Her eyes darkened at that. You think someone's still watching? She asked. I didn't answer right away, because I had felt it earlier. A black SUV parked too long across the street. A man inside pretending not to stare. I don't think, I said evenly. I know. Her posture stiffened. I don't want you dragged into something because of me. That surprised me. Not fear, concern, for me. You think I'm here by accident? I asked quietly. She held my gaze. And that's when it happened. Not a kiss, not even a touch, just a look that lasted too long. The kind that makes you aware of how close you're sitting, how easily lines blur. Chloe came back laughing. The moment broke. But as we left the restaurant, I noticed the SUV pull away, slowly. And I realized something. Dinner wasn't the mistake. Letting myself care. I didn't tell her about the SUV. That was my second mistake. Because when you start keeping small secrets, they grow. The next morning, I walked Chloe to school like always. Normal routine. Backpack bouncing. She was telling me about a science project. But I felt it again. That same black SUV, parked half a block down, engine running, windows tinted. Daddy? I forced a smile. You're good, kiddo, go on. She hugged me tight before running toward the building. Too tight, like she felt it too. I waited until she disappeared inside before turning. The SUV didn't move. I walked toward it slowly, not aggressive, not rushed, just enough to let whoever was inside know I wasn't blind. The driver pulled away before I got close. Controlled. Confident. Message received. That afternoon, Arya called. Her voice wasn't steady. My board is calling an emergency vote, she said. They're claiming misconduct. Financial irregularities. That's fast, I muttered. It's coordinated. Of course it was. Public humiliation at the gala. Media whispers. Now corporate sabotage. Same pattern. Different battlefield. Do you want protection, I asked. Silence. Then softer. Do you want to give it? That question wasn't about security. It was about us. I closed my eyes for a second. You don't know what comes with me, I said quietly. I think I do, she replied. I almost believed her. Almost. I can handle pressure, she continued. I've been underestimated my entire career. This isn't pressure, I said. It's escalation. Her breath caught slightly. Fear. Not for herself. For Chloe? She asked. That hit harder than anything. You bring my daughter into this and I become someone I don't want to be anymore. I would never, she said quickly. I believed her. That's what made this complicated. Because she wasn't the danger. She was the reason I was stepping back into it. That evening as I picked Chloe up, I noticed something taped to our mailbox. No name, no return address, just 3 words. He's not retired. I stood there staring at it. Because they weren't just watching Arya. They were watching me. And that meant dinner was officially over. I didn't show Chloe the note. I burned it in the sink. But the words stayed with me. He's not retired. That wasn't a threat. It was a warning. That night, Arya showed up at my house unannounced. No security detail, no assistant, just her. I opened the door, surprised. You shouldn't be here, I said immediately. I know, she replied. But I needed to see you. That did something to me. She wasn't dressed like a CEO tonight. Just jeans, a sweater, hair loose, human. Chloe peeked around my leg. Miss Arya. Arya smiled softly. Hi, superstar. They hugged like they'd known each other longer than 2 dinners and 1 fight. That scared me. Because Chloe doesn't attach easily. After my wife died, she became careful with her heart. And now she was laughing with Arya in our living room. I watched them for a second too long. You're good with her, I said quietly once Chloe ran upstairs to grab her art folder. Arya stepped closer. I don't fake things with kids. I nodded. Then she noticed my tension. What happened? She asked. I hesitated. Then I handed her my phone. The photo I took of the SUV earlier. She went pale. They're escalating, she whispered. Yes. And you didn't tell me. I didn't want you distracted before your vote. She looked hurt. I'm not fragile, Jack. I know. That's not why you kept it from me, is it? No, it wasn't. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. I kept it from you because when this turns ugly, I need to stay clear-headed. And the second something threatens my daughter, I don't think straight. Her eyes softened. Not pity, understanding. You don't have to carry this alone, she said. That sentence almost broke me. Because carrying things alone is what I do. It's what kept Chloe safe. It's what kept me alive. But Arya reached out slowly and touched my wrist. Right over the tattoo, gentle. Not claiming, just grounding. We fight smart, she whispered. And for a second, just one, I let myself imagine what it would feel like, not to fight alone. Then headlights flashed across my window, and both of us turned at the same time. I knew that flash wasn't random. You don't spend years in special operations without recognizing surveillance behavior. The headlights lingered, engine idling. Too still, Arya felt my body shift before I moved. Jack, she whispered. Upstairs, I said calmly. Lock Chloe's bedroom door. Don't turn on lights. She didn't argue. That's what I noticed. She trusted me. Within seconds, I was outside, barefoot, silent, controlled breathing. The SUV sat across the street, Windows tinted, driver pretending to scroll his phone. Amateur mistake. You don't park under a streetlight if you want to blend. I stepped into the light deliberately. He saw me. Started the engine. Too late. I memorized the plate before he pulled away. Not a local registration. That meant resources. That meant funding. That meant this wasn't just intimidation anymore. When I walked back inside, Arya was standing at the bottom of the stairs. Her face pale, but steady. She's asleep, she said quietly. You shouldn't be here, I told her again. I'm not leaving. Her voice wasn't stubborn. It was decided. You think they're targeting you because of the board vote? She asked. No, I replied. I think the vote is cover. For what? For leverage. Her breath caught. Chloe? I didn't answer. I didn't need to. Silence filled the room. Then something unexpected happened. She stepped closer, not as a CEO, not as someone being protected, but as a woman who understood what was at stake. You once stepped between me and bullets, she said softly. Let me stand beside you now. That was dangerous. Not physically, emotionally, because standing beside someone means letting them see the parts you usually hide. You don't know what that costs, I said. She held my gaze. Then show me. The tension between us wasn't fear anymore. It was closeness. Charged. Unspoken. I could feel how easily this could turn into something more. And that's exactly why I stepped back. You and Chloe leave town tomorrow, she said suddenly. That surprised me. You think I'll run? I think I'll do whatever keeps her safe, she replied. That wasn't weakness. That was strength. And for the first time, I realized something terrifying. If they wanted to break me, they wouldn't aim at my past. They'd aim at the people I was starting to care about. And Arya had just stepped into that circle. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was afraid, because I was thinking about leaving. Chloe packed her small suitcase in the morning like it was an adventure. She thought we were taking a short trip to visit an old Navy buddy of mine upstate. Arya stood in my kitchen watching us. Quiet, controlled. But her eyes gave her away. You don't have to do this alone, she said softly. I do, I replied. That hurt her. I saw it, and part of me hated myself for causing it. But loving someone in my world comes with consequences. I already buried one woman because danger followed me home. I won't do that again. Chloe hugged Arya before we left. I'll bring you more starfish when I get back, she promised. Arya knelt down and smiled. I'll be waiting. The way she said it, it didn't sound like business. It sounded personal. That was the problem. As I loaded the truck, my phone buzzed. Unknown number, I answered. A distorted voice. You're predictable, Mercer. My grip tightened. Let's skip the games, I said evenly. A chuckle. You think moving your daughter changes anything? Ice slid down my spine. She's not part of this. Everything you touch becomes part of this. The line went dead. I looked up and saw Arya watching me from the doorway. She knew something was wrong. I walked back toward her. You need security at your building. Full perimeter lockdown, I said. What did they say? I hesitated. That hesitation told her enough. They mentioned Chloe. Her jaw tightened. They don't get to use children. No, I said quietly. They don't. The air between us shifted again. This wasn't attraction. It was alignment. Shared fury. Shared protection. You leave today, she insisted. And you? I have a board meeting in 2 hours. I stepped closer. Too close. You think this is just corporate politics? No, she whispered. I think this is war. And then she did something I didn't expect. She reached up and kissed my cheek. Soft, brief, but intentional. For coming back, she said. I froze, because now leaving didn't just feel tactical. It felt like running from something I wanted. And as I pulled out of the driveway with Chloe in the passenger seat, I had the sinking feeling that distance wasn't going to protect anyone. I shouldn't have turned the truck around. But when Chloe fell asleep halfway up the highway and my phone lit up with Arya's name, I didn't hesitate. Jack, she said, breath uneven. They moved early. My chest tightened. What happened? The board vote was a distraction. Someone tried accessing our encrypted servers from inside the building. Inside? They're in your office, I said. Yes. That was all I needed. I exited the highway without waking Chloe. Called my old teammate. 2 favors, no questions. Then I drove back. Not as a carpenter, not as a retired anything. As a father, as a man who refuses to let history repeat. When I reached WindCorp's building, police were already outside. News vans, chaos. Arya stood near the entrance, composed on the outside, shaken underneath. When she saw my truck pull in, something in her posture changed. Relief, pure, unfiltered. You came back, she whispered as I approached. I never left. That wasn't strategy. That was truth. They planted malware, she said. Tried to reroute government contracts through a shell server. Desperation, I replied. They lost the board. And now they're exposed. She studied me. You could have stayed gone. I know. Silence stretched between us. Not tense. Intimate. You're not just protecting me anymore, she said softly. No, I admitted. Because somewhere between the gala and the driveway kiss, it stopped being about duty. It became about her. Chloe stepped out of the truck, sleepy-eyed. Are we home? She asked. Arya smiled and opened her arms. Yeah, sweetheart, she said gently. We are? That word landed heavier than any threat. Home. Not a house. Not a job. A choice. The authorities made arrests that night. The SUV driver. 2 board members. Digital trails leading overseas. It won't end completely. It never does. But the immediate threat? Neutralized. Later, when the crowd cleared and Chloe was asleep in Arya's guest room, we stood alone on the balcony overlooking the city. You stepped between me and bullets once, she said. And I'd do it again. She looked up at me. Not as a CEO, not as someone needing rescue, as a woman who had survived. So stop standing in front of me, she whispered. Stand with me. That was the real invitation. Not dinner, not protection. Partnership. I hesitated, just long enough to feel the risk. Then I took her hand, and this time, I didn't let go.